You are about to hear a short story about a person wandering through a huge facility of unknown origin and purpose. The short story is called The Factory, and I am the author, Cyril Sadovsky. I didn't use AI to create this short story, but as you can hear, I am not a native speaker, so I used AI to correct my grammatical mistakes. I also used AI to generate some accompanying images and also to dub this short story into a short audiobook. If you like this short story, please leave a like and subscribe. Now enjoy.
The Factory. The mechanical banging, clanging, creaking, and sometimes screeching sounds coming from somewhere in the unknown depths of this enormous factory structure have become such a part of the surrounding environment that I barely notice them anymore. I am standing in a dimly lit corridor stretching, it seems, to infinity in all directions. When I turn my head left, right, up, and down, all I can see are corridors, pipes, ladders, stairs, and other metal structures continuing as if forever. And from what I know and have experienced so far, they very well may be endless. And motionless. There are no valves on the pipes, or at least I've never seen one. No buttons anywhere, no interface that one could use to do something. At least the structure of the factory doesn't repeat and is varied. Corridors, pipes, fences, ladders, and other unidentifiable metal protrusions change, meander, adapt. On a micro scale, however, only a few types of the same components are used. I've wondered for some time now, these metallic structures, this whole facility, it seems, have to serve some purpose. The creators of this thing wouldn't create such complicated and seemingly function-oriented structures without intent. I have no idea, however, what the function might actually be. The lights are the factory's one interactive feature. They are located in the left corner of the pathway. They are circular, about 10 centimeters in diameter, made from hardened glass, protected by thick metal mesh, and spaced about 5 meters apart. They always detect me and gradually turn on and off when I am nearby and walk past. From where I am standing right now, looking down a dark shaft into the black void, the brightest light is behind me. The lights gradually get dimmer and dimmer until, about 50 meters away on either side, there is only darkness. But the light is a dim orange-red color which gives the surrounding metal walls an almost corroded look. Yet when I actually examine the walls, touch them, and take a closer look, they are perfect. There are no faults, no cracks, no damage from time. They are almost pristine. The same is true of the fences that separate pathways and corridors from the shafts, or maybe I should call them chasms. They never creak or emit any sound under stress. Believe me, I tested them. The factory is built to such a high standard that I cannot hear anything making a sound except the reverberation of my own steps and my own breathing, except those damn mechanical sounds far in the background. Yes, sometimes they seem closer and sometimes farther away, but they are still distant. What's even more annoying is that I never seem to be able to make out the direction of the sounds. They are ubiquitous, as if they came from all directions at the same time. Nevertheless, every morning when I get up, I listen for the sounds, pick the direction I imagine they are most likely coming from, and head out. Now, however, I need to start looking for my room for the night, as I am sure I have already wandered for several hours. I call it my room, even though every night it is in a different physical place, because the room looks exactly the same every time. I turn away from the fence I was leaning against while ruminating and head left. As I walk, the lights behind me slowly dim and the lights in front of me slowly illuminate the path ahead. I am not worried that I won't find my room. Every time I have had enough for the day, I find the door to my room within a few minutes. And indeed, as the farthest light in front of me slowly turns on, I see distinctive contours on the left wall. It's an automatic door. If I didn't know better, I would think the creators of this factory knew in advance when and where I would need a resting place and put the door to my room right there. Although sometimes I can't avoid the thought, what if the door doesn't show up one day? What if the creators made a mistake and forgot to put my door in the wall when I needed it? I approach the automatic door, fairly tired and hungry. I don't have to do anything. The door just slides silently into the left side of the wall. I step into my room. It looks exactly like my room, like all the rooms I've ever seen. The room opens out into a rectangular space to the left. I'd say it is about 4 meters long and 2.5 meters wide. On the right side of the room, there is a bed with a pillow and covers, perfectly made as if no one has ever slept there. On the left side, there is a small dining table with a small automatic door in the wall above it. There is also one lightweight metal chair. Behind the bed and the table on the far side of the room, there is another automatic door. I already know what is behind that door. It is a very small bathroom with a toilet, a walk-in shower, and a tiny metal sink. The bathroom and the main space are both lit by 2 lights of exactly the same type as those in the corridors. They are always on and emanate a dim orange-red light that gives the room a rather corroded appearance. On the wall opposite the bathroom door, there is a large screen. Under the screen, there are 3 buttons, a left arrow, a right arrow, and an enter button. This screen provides me with the only stimuli I have in the factory. It is a monochromatic green and black screen. Using the arrow keys, I can browse what seems like an endless library of books and scientific works. Then, by pressing the enter button, I can open a particular work. Now I am hungry, however, so before I take a shower or read anything, I need to eat. I sit down at the table on the metal chair and wait. After a few moments, the sliding door above the table opens and I see a fresh meal, a bottle of water, and what seem to be a few pills. I take all the provisions from the space behind the door and it silently closes. A few times in the past, I have looked inside the small door above the table to see whether there were any moving mechanical parts. Maybe, for example, the food is being delivered from somewhere. My reasoning was that if I could identify the direction from which the food was delivered, I could perhaps try to follow it and see whether it formed any pattern. But from what I could discern, there was nothing at all that resembled anything capable of movement. The walls inside the space were perfect. No scratches from potential moving elevators, nothing. It seemed to me as if the food had always been there, just waiting for me to arrive. But I quickly discard those thoughts. It doesn't make sense that the food would have been waiting for me here since the creation of this facility, because it seems to be tailored specifically to my current needs and tastes, especially the pills that are provided with the food. Those seem to be medications for when, for example, I have a headache, feel sick, or have aching joints. I can imagine that the creators of this factory could theoretically calculate how far I'm able to walk each day and space the rooms accordingly, so it seems to me that my needs are causally linked to when I find a room. That makes sense. But how could they predict what I might feel like eating on a given day or what ailment might be troubling me? I eat my food in complete silence, unconsciously listening to the distant ambient sounds. Screech, clang, ding, as if metal objects were hitting and grinding against each other in the far reaches of the factory's space and time. I finish eating and get up to take a shower. There is no way for me to adjust the flow or temperature of the water. I just step into the metal shower area and the shower starts. I never complain though. The water is hot and steamy, which I fully accept because it is generally a bit cold in the factory. I sit on the cold surface in the corner of the walk-in shower and watch the water droplets land on the bathroom's metal surfaces and the steam slowly build up. I like to watch how the steam interacts with the orange-red light in the shower. There is basically no movement in the factory other than what I cause, so having something to watch that is not under my direct control is very relaxing. The steam also causes the bathroom light to dim even more, so there is this serene darkness swirling around me. As I sit in the shower, I wonder what the display in the next room has in store for me today. The screen offers an endless selection of things to read, but there is no way to search its internal library. It's just endless columns of books and text to choose from. Using the arrow keys, you can scroll endlessly one way or the other, but every time I turn on the screen, the books it offers are randomly distributed into columns. I have never come across the same text or book twice. That means when I find something interesting, I have to read it that night, otherwise I may never see it again. Concepts, of course, do repeat. For example, I once found an interesting text that described how a steam engine works. Another day, I was greeted by an adventure book in which the protagonist used steam engines to explore. Nevertheless, I never saw these books again, before or since. As the bathroom light grows dimmer and dimmer through the comfortable steam, I wonder why the creators of the factory left me all these texts. I cannot build my own steam engine, unless I consider my steam showers a machine for generating comfort. Anyway, at least reading before bed is entertaining. I feel it is time to leave the shower. The initial feelings of comfort from the steam and high temperature vanish after some time. I know that to experience this good feeling again, I have to wander tomorrow, find a new my room, and get into the shower once more. I really look forward to that. I step out of the bathroom, shivering a little, and am greeted by the same orange-red light. I turn on the screen by pressing the Enter button. I see columns of potential texts and books to read. I scan through them and find one interesting title: Gravity, Why Do Objects Fall Down Rather Than Up? I have never thought about that. It has always been something I took for granted. When I accidentally knock my fork off the table, it falls towards the floor, not the ceiling. I pull the metal chair over, navigate to the book title, press Enter, and start reading. Interesting, the book suggests that there are heavenly bodies somewhere out there whose sheer masses curve time and space in such a way that objects appear to fall towards them. What if the factory I'm in is such a mass dangling somewhere in space, built for some important yet unknown purpose? It has to be, because objects fall towards the floor, so there has to be gravity. But what does that imply anyway? Then I have a sudden idea. I take the dirty fork from my table, quickly run out of my room towards the nearest fence, and look down into the chasm. All I can see is the floor beneath me, barely lit by the lights on my level. Below that, I cannot see anything, only darkness. I take the fork and throw it. I wait a moment, then another. Nothing. I cannot hear anything. After a few seconds, I decide that the fork must be so far away by now that even if it hit the ground, I wouldn't hear it. What's the most robust object I can throw down there? It's the chair. Everything else is just part of the factory's metal structure. I run into my room, take the chair, and quickly return to the fence. Then I reconsider. What if I throw the chair at an angle rather than straight down? What would happen then? Presumably, there are at least several levels beneath me, so maybe the chair would end up on one of those floors. I back up with the chair above my head to give myself a bit of room for a run-up. I take a few rapid steps towards the fence, throw the chair, and look over. I see the chair flying diagonally downwards, and then I hear it. A loud, metallic, almost mechanical bang, screech, clang. It merges with the background noise until the sound completely fades away. As I walk back towards my room, now chairless, I realize that even though I didn't hear the chair hit the ground, at least I heard it hitting the facility's vertical structures. I also heard it banging against the walls for quite some time, so that means the depth of these levels must be enormous. That is also supported by my experience. I've been climbing up and down these levels for a long time now, and I've never found anything that could be a bottom floor or a ceiling. Some time ago, I decided that I would only go down. I can't even count how many days I descended, but there always seemed to be at least one more level beneath me. Then I gave up and went only in the direction of the distant sounds, or at least what I assumed to be their direction. I may just be imagining it. The sliding door soundlessly slips into the wall and I step into my room. I don't think I'll finish reading the gravity book, although I hope the screen will offer me something similar sometime in the future. My head is now full of swirling thoughts, somewhat similar to the swirling steam in the shower. I sit down on my clean, freshly made bed, which has probably never been used before. I unfold the covers and lie down. The dim orange-red light on the ceiling illuminates the room steadily without any flicker. This dim light is my omnipresent companion. As I start to feel a bit cold, I pull the covers over myself and stare at the light. It takes me some time, but I am finally able to fall asleep. When I wake up, I have no idea how much time has passed because nothing has changed. The room looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. The light hasn't changed, and the mechanical sounds in the background still echo from time to time, but I feel refreshed. I get up and without a second thought step out of my room, sit down against the metal wall, close my eyes, and listen. This has become my morning habit, almost an instinct. I try to determine the direction of the incoming sounds. I think I might as well just choose at random, but at least I try. Screech, bang. I hear somewhere in the distance. I think I hear the sounds coming from the upper left. I will have to look for ladders, staircases, and a left turn in the corridors. Ladders and staircases don't follow any particular pattern. Sometimes I find a staircase that takes me 3 levels up or down, but sometimes I find a lone ladder leading up or down and then nothing for days. The same is true of left and right turns, but when I find a junction and pick a direction after a few steps, it is as if I never turned. Although the pathway does not necessarily look the same at any one point, there is no obvious pattern that would help me distinguish one part of the facility from another. I get up and start walking. To my right, there is still the fence. As the lights slowly turn on in front of me, I see a pipe that emerges from the left wall and runs horizontally along the same pathway I am walking at about shoulder level. The pipes in the factory are all the same diameter as the lights. I have even wondered whether they somehow feed or connect the lights, but I've never actually seen a pipe connected to a light or emitting anything, not even warmth. As I come level with the pipe, I decide to touch it. Nothing. It is at the same ambient temperature as the surroundings. There is absolutely no difference between touching a pipe and touching the metal wall. When you put your ear against the pipe, there is no sound. No running water, no other fluids, nothing. It seems to be completely inert. Why did the creators of this factory need the pipes? I look around, complete darkness to my right, as the fence marks the steep drop. In front of me and behind me, the corridor looks basically the same. Only in front of me is this pipe running along the wall. Then, after about 50 meters, complete darkness. Should I perhaps follow the pipe? I've tried that in the past, but it never led to anything. Pipes sometimes disappear back into the wall, but sometimes they diverge towards the central chasm and vanish into the distance. At least what I can actually see them in the distance through the dim light. Sometimes there are several pipes meandering around the level, coming up or down through the central chasm. Or sometimes the floor I am on is cut off by a fence, and the pipe continues into the void. In such cases, there is a ladder or staircase leading to a different level, but that means I cannot continue following the pipe. Bang! I hear in the distance. The sound returns me to the present moment, and I continue my journey. As I continue listening to the ambient sounds, I start to realize something. Yesterday, when I threw my chair and it started bouncing off the walls, once it got quite far away, it really sounded like those other mechanical noises in the distance. Mechanical, sometimes clanging, sometimes screeching, as if metal were grinding against metal. Is it possible that the sounds come from falling objects? Screech! Again I hear it. But I've never seen anything falling or even been close enough to the sounds to suggest that something is actually falling into the chasm. My thoughts start to branch. If there were others like me, maybe they would also be testing what happens if they throw their chairs into the void. I think of chairs because I haven't seen anything else around me large enough to throw down and make such a noise. Bang, screech, ding. Or maybe I am somehow still hearing the sound of the chair I threw yesterday, reverberating through the whole facility. But what about the days before that? I can imagine that the sounds from the chair I threw yesterday could still somehow reach me through the vastness of the factory, but not through time. As I walk down the corridor looking for a left turn and a ladder or staircase leading up, I have another thought. If there are others like me, is there anything besides a chair that could be falling into the void? I've never seen anything else big enough to fall down and make such sounds. I continue walking down the dimly lit corridor.